I feel the speed, the thrill, high octane drama can't get off fill. Engines roaring loud, heartbeats on the rise. On NFR, see the sparks in our eyes. Racing through the night, chasing every turn. On NFR, adrenaline we burn. Pit stops and fast cars, it's a wild ride. NFR, in our veins we can't hide. NFR, feel the rush, feel the speed. Formula One dreams, we take the lead. On NFR, we're flying high. Under the lights, we touch the sky. Yeah. Every lap a story, every driver's dream. On NFR, racing's the supreme. Checkered flags waving, champions arise. NFR brings the glory to our eyes. NFR, where the legends are born. Speeding past the limits, engines reborn. In the fast lane, every second counts. NFR, the thrill always mounts. NFR, feel the rush, feel the speed. Formula One dreams, we take the lead. On NFR, we're flying high. Under the lights, we touch the sky. NFR with the rush, feel the speed. Formula One dreams, we take the lead. On NFR lane, every second counts. NFR, the thrill always mounts. NFR, feel the rush, feel the speed. Formula One dreams, we take the lead. On NFR, we're flying high. Under the lights, we touch the sky. You move to NFR, feel the speed. You move to NFR. Sunday night, 6 p.m. Oh yeah, engines roar, lights go dim. Yeah. Drama's high, hearts are race. Ooh. Feel the heat, feel the pace. Oh yeah, speed and thrill, never slow. Zoom. Champions rise, they all know. In the night, we come alive. SKR, we will drive. SKR at 6. Feel the rush, feel the kicks. On the track, we survive. SKR, we thrive. Tires burn on the bends. Rivals clash, no amends. Oh no, cheering crowd, feel the sound. SKR, world renowned. Dayton's night, under lights. Oh yeah, every turn, every fight. Pulses racing, here we go. SKR, steal the show. Rev it up, race it fast. Living dreams as we blast. On this night, we won't rest. SKR, we're the best. SKR at 6. Feel the rush, feel the kicks. On the track, we survive. SKR, we thrive. SKR at 6. Fix. SKR at 6. Feel the rush, feel the kicks. On the track, we survive. SKR, we thrive. Yeah, the best. Tires burn on the bends. Burn. sound. Woo-hoo. SKR, world renowned. Renowned! They're the best! NFR, it's time to go. Feel the speed, let it flow. Racing hearts, watch them glow. Turn it up, start the show. NFR, feel the heat. Fast and fierce, never beat. Engines roar, can't stay off seat. Catch the thrill, it's so sweet. NFR, NFR. Drama high, stars afar. Round the track like a shooting star. Feel the rush, NFR. Lap by lap, watch them spin. Victory's close, who will win? In our heads, the engine's din. NFR, let's begin. NFR, lights are green. Zooming fast, slick machine. Every twist, every scene. Catch the action on your screen. NFR, NFR, yeah. Drama high, stars afar. Round the track like a shooting star. Feel the rush, NFR. Lap by lap, watch them spin. Victory's close, who will win? In our heads, the engine's din.
rush like a shooting star. The engines roar, the tires scream, fast as lightning, it's a dream. Speed and drama, every turn on NFR, the rubber burns. Feel the thrill of every bend, where the champions transcend. Feel the power at NFR, burning tracks, driving far, where the races never end. NFR, only friend. Fernando calls the play on NFR every race day. Commentary sharp and loud, hyping up the roaring crowd. Feel the power at NFR, burning tracks, driving far, where the races never end. NFR, only friend. Not Fernando calls the play on NFR at race day. Commentary sharp and loud, hyping up the roaring crowd. Feel the power at NFR, burning tracks, driving far, where the races never end. NFR, only friend. Deaf Queen, the top supporter, see in the crowd where speed is keen. NFR, the place to be. Join the race, watch and see. Engines roar, the lights are bright. Sunday night, the crowd takes flight. Drama on the curves tonight. SKR feels so right. Speed and skill, hold on tight. Every turn, hearts ignite. Racers chase the checkered flag. No one's pulling any lag. Just race, just drive, SKR alive. Push the limits, feel the vibe. Racers give it all they've got. Sunday night is burning hot. Oh! Oh! Wheels are spinning, adrenaline high. Twists and turns, we touch the sky. Competition fierce and true. Every point's a breakthrough. Wheels of spirit and under stars. Tension thick, no one's far. Destiny is in the driver's hands. Take the lead, take a stand. Just race, just drive, SKR alive. Push the limits, feel the vibe. Racers give it all they've got. Sunday night is burning hot. Oh! Crowds cheering under stars, tension thick, no one's far. Destiny is in the driver's hands. Take the lead, take a stand. Just race, just drive, SKR alive. Push the limits, feel the vibe. Racers give it all they've got. Sunday night is burning hot. Oh! Just burning hard and hot.
Feel the speed, the thrill, high octane drama can't get off fill. Engines roaring loud, heartbeats on the rise. On NFR, see the sparks in our eyes. Racing through the night, chasing every turn. On NFR, adrenaline we burn. Pit stops and fast cars, it's a wild ride.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to NFR. Welcome back to Sunday night. It's time for SKR. Season 9, Round 7. You're about to get a double dose of Mexico because we're going to have Mexico a little bit later on tonight. Of course, at 10 p.m. Real F1 drivers are going to hit this layout, but SKR is going to get a go first. Of course, normal format. Short qualifying session, just the 18 minutes, followed by a 50% race. Quite a few of you already watching. Thank you to everyone who's joined. Getting ready now for qualifying, just waiting for some action out on track. It's a difficult circuit, this one. Difficult one to get the setup just right. Parts of the circuit very quick, don't want that downforce. Other parts of the circuit, you're very much in need of that downforce. So you just need to be able to find the balance, find what works for you. You might find two of these drivers on completely different setups, matching each other to a few hundredths of a second. It all comes down to what feels best to you and how you can get the most out of that car. A few seconds ago we were waiting for some action in the pits. Now all of a sudden, lots of cars out on track. Information from Boinkies. Is that one of our drivers? I don't see him in the list. Where is he? There he is. He's in the kick salver. Information from one of our drivers in the comment section is that it should be a dry race. Don't expect too many shenanigans in the way of the weather. Of course, this track looks a little bit different tonight. Of course, the game doesn't have the new updated stadium section. So tonight when you watch the Grand Prix, that'll look a little different. They've added a very nice roof to that section, giving it a real arena type feel. Convoy has started his quick lap, as has Virus, Smurf, Martin, Spikes, lots of familiar names, Skull, Joe Coetzee, Disguised, all out on circuit. Also have even more cars out on outlaps to Salvers, so looking to get that first lap under their belt. This is Convoy. Quality circuit here is so important to get it right. So easy to get it wrong. This was the part I was talking about. Parts of the circuit you'd love to be able to trim the downforce. Then you get here. You need all the downforce you can get. Of course, if you've got a car that's suffering from understeer, then that stadium section will be no fun for you. First lap time starting to come over the board. And Weeze has gone quickest so far. That is a 114.6, followed by Virus in P2, then Martin P3, Skull P4. Lap time still coming in. Where is Convoy? He may have missed his lap. Of course, very easy to invalidate around here. This is Pantry Star. Levy's just gone to the top of the table with a 114 point. Never mind, 114.5 for Pantry Star. Pantry Star goes to the top of the table. Levy was there momentarily before he could enjoy it. It's all gone. That was the one Red Bull. Where's the other? The other is down at the bottom of the field. It's not set his lap time just yet. Same scenario for Mr. M, just goes over the line to start that first attempt at a timed lap. Of course, when you go out and you get that first run wrong, maybe you just invalidate it, maybe you just get impeded. Puts so much more pressure on you going forward. So easy to just cause a snowball effect. Put unnecessary pressure on yourself. Each lap gets harder as you progress through the session. Saw that a couple of times last night in qualifying from Charles Leclerc in Q1 and Q2. Just leaving things till that final run to secure his way into the next part of qualifying. Of course, tonight, no next part of qualifying. This will be it. Just the one short qualifying session. It was 18 minutes long. 6 of those minutes are gone. 12 minutes remain in the session. We're riding with the Aston Martin of Wies. It's 114.6, good enough for P3. Speaking of Aston Martin, one of their drivers, Fernando Alonso, tonight, 400 Grand Prix. Take note of his gold helmet. Of course, Alonso making his debut in the early 2000s. 2002, I believe. 22 years later, he's still there. Of course, he did take a break. And had some fun, tried some Le Mans, tried some Dakar. Didn't see that. Oh yes, and he tried the Indy 500 as well. Didn't see that, it's fun, he returned. Everyone thought his career was done when he left Alpine, but just went on to sign another contract. 400 Grand Prix. Has gone to the top. Vanderstar P2, Levy P3, Divan on an outlap. Currently P4, Virus P5 also on an outlap. This is Convoy on his way into the pits. This is Martin 115.3, currently good enough for P7. Let's bring up some data for all the use and for me as well. So tyres, no surprise, everybody on a soft set of tyres. Welcome to everyone in the comment section. Boinkies, who's also out on track. Death Queen. We've got a Buntu here. We've got Skull here. He's also out on track. Serious double tasks. Got an Aston Martin and a Red Bull on that front row so far. Look at the times, it's 14.2, then a 14.5. P3 not far behind, also a 14.5. We've got a pair of 14.9s, that's Divan and Virus. 14. Well, somebody's just popped it in the middle there. I believe that was Martin. So Martin, a 14.8, good enough for P4, pushes Divan and Virus on those. Lap times keep on changing on those pair of 14.9s, 5 and 6. Convoy on another outlap. Skull remains in the pits for now. 8.5 minutes remaining on the clock, still lots of time. Spike's also in the pits. This is Disguised. Currently a 15.9, his best time. He's looking for an improvement. Looking for a big improvement if he wants to get himself up the field. Needs at least 3/10 if he wants to improve in position. He comes back into the pits. Top Gun remains in the pits. We've got the pair of Kick Selbers out on circuit. That's Boinkies and Chums. Currently those two a 16.1 and a 16.3, only good enough for P15 and P16. So Selber emulating life. Of course, that is the only team in the F1 2024 championship not to have scored a solitary point. Boinkies and Chums will be hoping not to replicate their real life counterparts. This is Wheeze. About to start another quick lap. I'm quite happy with that lap time. Staying out again. Wants to move the goalpost a little further down the road. It's not quite far enough, just 3/10. Believes that is still well within Pantry Star's capabilities, so he feels the need to go back out there. Another quick man, Levy. Remember, nothing in it between P2 and 3, so both those drivers still very much in contention for pole position. Divan returns to the pits after a successful run that put him in P4. Martinez returned to the pits, P5, Virus P6, then this is Convoy. Looking for an improvement, looking to get this McLaren higher up the field. His teammates obviously down in P17, so McLaren need one of their cars to go higher up the field, and Convoy comes to the party when it counts for McLaren. Very nicely done, 14.3, gets close to Wheeze, but not close enough. Wheeze now just pulling off the racing line, slowing down. He's backed off out of that lap, or was that an out lap? Was that a preparation lap? I believe it was a preparation lap. Apologies to Wheeze, but that battery is definitely full. Just winding up, just to get the perfect run. Of course, the Aston Martins, what a job they've done this season so far. Looking to continue that run. We have to. Seems like we only have the one Aston Martin here tonight. So an opportunity for all the other manufacturers to close in on the championship a little bit. Wheeze, quickest man out there so far. Convoy, P2. He's on his way back to the pits. Still just over 5 minutes remaining, so everybody still has time for another run. If you're out on track, might still have time to get back in and have another run. Just want to get a move on. So you are able to get around this circuit relatively quickly, so that extra run is possible. Do have certain tracks on the calendar like Belgium. Becomes very difficult. Not able to get all those runs in. Wheeze goes even quicker, 14.0, not quite a 13. But that is as close as I think we're going to get to a 13. Let me know in the comment section. Do you think we'll see a 13? 14 flat. Now that's a statement. Very quiet race circuit at the moment. Everybody in the pits prepping for that final run. Death Queen showing her support for the Williams team. Of course, that is the common pairing of Andre and Skull. They've been teammates many times before over various leagues I've commentated on. For some reason McLaren comes to mind. I think they may have been teammates at McLaren more than once. Not tonight. They were teammates at the Williams team, P8 and P9. Pantry Star in one of the Red Bulls. The other Red Bull not doing so well down in P15. Two Red Bulls are running line astern. This will probably be their final run. There's still 3 minutes remaining. Comes down to the drivers, how they want to play this. When are you going to leave the pits? They'll probably be sitting in the pits just having a look at that track map. You don't want to come out in a whole flurry of cars. Of course, when that happens at this late stage in qualifying, every single one of those drivers is trying to get their quali lap in. No one needs to give you way, and sometimes what happens is you just have 4 or 5 drivers all losing their lap because they all got involved with each other. So you just got to make sure you've got space on that final run. If you do complain about being impeded, you've got to ask yourself if you did the best job of avoiding that on your outlap. That's what the outlap's all about. It's about managing your space for that next lap. Of course, getting tire temperature, brake temperature, but making sure you don't get yourself into a tricky situation. This is Convoy, 14.3. Weeze is on an outlap. We ride with the McLaren. Very quickly discharging that battery down the straight, giving it everything. So don't want to use too much of that battery. Need to manage it throughout the lap. Remember, some of these guys are going to be running a little bit higher downforce than they'd like, because just got some twisty bits on this circuit. You need the extra downforce when it comes to the straights. Just causing so much unnecessary drag. That's where the ERS comes in. And use the ERS down the straights just to neutralize some of that penalty, some of that handicap. Back in the 90s, Mexico was very commonly known for engine blowouts. Doesn't happen so much anymore. Mexico circuit, race circuit, the highest race circuit above sea level. Basically, when the big V8s, V10s and V12s would come to Mexico, they simply weren't getting enough oxygen into the engine and they'd start exploding. Primarily the Ferraris. This is Weeze. He's discharging that battery. He's on a push lap. Does he have anything more? 5 grid place penalty. Rather for Joe, that's not going to bother him too much because he's already at the rear of the field. This is Weeze we're riding with. Current best is a 14 flat. We couldn't see it, but Convoy set a 14 flat of his own. So nothing in it between the front row. Time has come to an end. Checkered flag has fallen. So this will be it for Weeze. Goes through the stadium section for the final time in qualifying. Remember, that stadium looks quite different tonight. You see the roof, it looks pretty good. Does Weeze improve? He does. He improved by a very small amount. Definitely not in position. Absolutely nothing in it. On that front row, Weeze is finished. Check flag has fallen for him. Convoy's in the pits. Nothing more he can do. Levy in P3. Everyone in the top 5, in fact. Their session has come to an end. Just 2 drivers. One of them is Andre. He's not going to do much going at that speed. And then Disguise finishes off our session. What is Andre doing? Looks like he almost just stopped at the pit wall there to have a chat with his engineer. Of course, if you're just joining us, I see a few people have just joined, so if you're just joining us, you have just missed qualifying. Qualifying has now come to an end, but you've joined us in time for the important stuff, for the race. There are your results if you missed it. Weiss takes pole position from Convoy and 500ths of a second between the two. Then Levy P3, Pantry P4. They're followed by Spikes, Divan, Martin, Virus, Andre, and Boinkies, making up the top 10. The other side of the top 10, you've got Smurf P11, Skull P12, Mr. Rem 13, Disguised Bear 14, Chums 15, Top Gun 16, and Joe Katsia finishing off the field in P17. Of course, there is no break. We go straight into the race. There will just be a few seconds of delay here at the start of the race as we look down the empty pit lane. This is the drivers putting in their last inputs before a race. If there's anything they need to change on their that setup, anything they're allowed to change, of course, under Parc Fermé, a lot of those parts are locked in for most of the drivers. They won't be meddling with any setup. They know exactly what the plan is with the setup, and that's locked in. They're not touching it. The only thing that will be coming into the drivers' minds is what tyre do I start on. Of course, that does depend sometimes on where you're starting. Starting at the rear, you might find drivers on the hard compound looking to go deeper into the race. Sometimes you find guys at the rear starting on the soft looking to make a good start. Soon we'll have some information on those tyres. You get the dual green lights. Drivers go off for a formation lap. One last preparation before the race. So we needed to bring up the tyre screen, and there is the tyre screen. So you might see one or two drivers at the rear of the field with the hard tyre looking to go deeper into the race. Got three examples of that. Smurf P11. Then two drivers at the rear, 15 and 16, that's Chums and Top Gun. So three drivers are going to be starting this race on the hard compound. No sign of the soft compound throughout the field. So the other 14 drivers all opting for the medium. Of course, if you did join us for qualifying, you would have seen those lap times between Weiss and Convoy. They're not going to get much closer than that. Just 500ths of a second covering the front row. If they're able to translate that into race pace, they're going to have something special. Of course, being quick over one lap and being quick over an entire race and finishing that race are very different things. Hopefully we don't see too much side-to-side action there in the stadium section. Track can get a bit narrow in parts. The entry looks a bit wider, and then once you get into the middle of that corner, it's a lot more narrow than you think. Cars start going off circuit. You can see now Weiss just trying to back the field up, keep the cars close together. The reason he's doing that is he doesn't want to sit in that grid slot too long. Sometimes what you see is the driver there in the lead just pulls off into the distance, then sits in that grid slot, loses all the tyre temp he gained on the formation lap. We're now going to wait for the 5 red lights. 3, 4, 5. Then you're going to have a pause, a brief pause, and off we go. Aston Martin versus McLaren into turn 1 here at the Autodromo Rodriguez. It's named after the Mexican F1 driver. So everyone thinks of Perez, but not so long ago we did have two Mexican drivers. Esteban Gutierrez was also part of the field. As you see, we had one testing in FP1 in Pato Award. Weeze leads the way from Convoy. Those two were so close together in qualifying. It's going to be interesting to see if Convoy is able to match Weeze in race pace or vice versa. Are they going to be as close as they were in qualifying? They did have a bit of a gap to the rest of the field, so I want to see if the rest of the field is able to hold on to those top two. Sometimes doesn't translate at all, and what we see in qualifying turns out to be very different in the race. Go a little further down the field. Here is Andre in P8. Still very early stages, and you can just see how messy things are. You can't even see who is where. Of course, the RB, the Williams, they're all blue. The Alpine, they're all blue. Things get confusing in the early stages of the race. Don't know who is where. This is Andre in P8. Skull fighting for P9. He was trading places with Virus not so long ago. Seems to have come out on top of that battle for now. This is the view from Skull's car. Riding just behind his teammate. That's Andre just up the road from him, about 2 or 3 tenths. In fact, 2.5 tenths. And just behind him, that's what 3 tenths looks like. Virus all over the back of that Williams. Looking for a way past. He's in the point, but he's not happy with just 1 point. He wants to get more. And this is the best opportunity to make up positions. It's in the early stages when drivers are so close together. Any sort of a mistake up the road, any sort of battle up the road gives you an opportunity to come back. Gap at the front, 4 tenths of a second. Convoy able to stay with Weeze for now, not quite close enough to make any sort of overtake attempt. He's going to be closer this time around. Gap just 3 tenths of a second. When he opens up DRS, is he going to be close enough this time around? It's going to have to be a brave one. From a little far back, no lunge for now from the McLaren, still very early days in the race. Had that been a little bit later on in the race, you may have seen a lunge. That's when the desperation starts to kick in a little bit more, the stakes are a little bit higher. Drivers at this stage of the race, they will just have it in their back of the mind, calm down. So much can still happen, don't do anything silly at this point. Seen so many drivers in the past qualifying very high up in the field, as high as pole position, and then just destroying their race chances within the first 5 laps of the race, finding themselves at the rear of the field regardless of all the hard work they did in qualifying. That's why it's so important to keep things clean in these opening laps until the race just settles down, until things aren't so frantic. Weeze loves to be a lot further up the road from that McLaren, but he just can't shake him at the time. Convoy very close behind, but is he close enough? He's closer this time than he was last. He's still going to take the lunge, and he's not ready to make that lunge. Of course, this is where battery management will come into play. The car behind has DRS, which means I believe there's 2 DRS zones, correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's just the 2 DRS zones around this circuit, so on 2 occasions around this circuit, the driver behind you is going to get a boost from that DRS. If you're leading the DRS train, the only tool you have at your disposal is that battery. Gives you a little bit of extra bite down the straight. Once that battery is depleted or gets dangerously low, find yourself with no defenses, and the inevitable happens. Get swallowed up by the field, especially if you've got a very close DRS train following. And that is the current situation. The top 4 drivers still very close together. One of the cars has just been lapped. That is the ghosting car of Chums. So Chums not in control of that car. Just let me know if everything looks okay on your guys' side on the stream. It's just looking a little jittery on my side, so just let me know if you can see everything and if you can hear everything and nothing's jumping around. But back to the important stuff, the racing. Weeze is still out front, 4/10 of a second, so that gap has not grown. It's remained the same. In fact, as I say that, pops up into the 5/10 ever so briefly. Convoy. And look at that, we've got a retirement, we've got a yellow, and it's happened. We have our first safety car of the evening. It's lap 5 of 36, long race to go. This has decided to happen in the early days. Of course, a lot of these drivers started on the medium compound, so it mixes things up a little bit. Of course, if you started on the medium, you were looking to go a lot further than lap 5. The only people this safety car would have benefited is if you started on the soft compound. This would be a great opportunity to go get rid of that tyre. But as we know, nobody in the field chose the soft compound. It's a mixture of mediums and hards. Some of those mediums have since come into the pits, put on a set of hard tyres, looking to go, I presume, as deep into this race as possible. Don't think you can finish off the race on those hards. That would require 30 laps and some extreme mastery of keeping those tires in check. Of course, once those tires get to 70-80%, really taking chances, a puncture is around the corner. But a lot of those medium runners, almost half of those medium runners, they did choose to use the safety car for a pit stop and put on a set of hard tyres. A lot more drivers than I expected. I expected all of these medium runners to simply stay out and hold on to track position, but some of those drivers have thrown the dice. Welcome to Carlo in the comment section. Joined us just in time to watch a safety car. Safety car was activated 1 lap ago on lap 5. Currently on lap 6. That was due to the retirement of an RB. Divan. We'll take no further part in proceedings this evening. Squeeze out front. Everyone there in the top 7. That's Squeeze, Levy, Pantry Star, Martin, Skull, Andre, and Boinkies. Those are the top 7, all medium runners. None of them chose to pit. Then the next couple of drivers, Smurf, Top Gun, Convoy, Spikes, Virus, and Disguised Bear, all on the hard. Smurf and Top Gun, those are older hards. Those are the hards they started the race on. Good position so far for the pair of Williams drivers, currently P5 and 6. It's the Martin out front. Just briefly bring up that Drivers' Championship for all of you as a reminder, and a reminder for me as well. So Rees leads the way on 124 points, as he does in this race. It's for P2 in the championship, but as we know, he's not here. Big T, P3, also not here on the evening. I think his championship appearances may be done. Then Spikes, P4, Convoy. He would love a good result tonight. Just give him a mathematical chance yet to gain. Of course, these things can change so quickly. Remember, one retirement where your rival wins, and all of a sudden you've got a 25-point swing. And then they're in the Constructors' Championship, Aston Martin absolutely dominating. So lap 8 of 36. course, the full distance of this race is a 71 lap race. I think all of the drivers will be happy not to be doing 71 laps this evening, just something a little shorter. Weeze leads the way at the restart from Levy, then Pantry Star. Martin doing a good job in P4, but coming under pressure from the pair of Williams. Skull, the lead Williams, not so long ago he was behind his teammate Andre. Those two Williams have traded places. And we've got Boinkies doing a good job, P7 for the kick. The other kick at the bottom of the field, that is Chums. Of course, he's not in control of that car. Last time we checked, that car was ghosting and had already been lapped. So don't expect too much from the second kick. This is Convoy. He was looking very, very quick at the start of the race. Looked like he was able to hold on to Weeze at the start of the race. He was able to match his pace. Just wasn't able to make an overtake. Tried a few times, got close. Just never really attacked. Never got close enough. Then the safety car came out. He chose to pit, get a set of hard tyres. His nearest rival, Weeze, decided to stay out on the medium. So where those two started on even footing, started on the same set of rubber, had very similar pace. Now all of a sudden, their races look somewhat different. Weeze still out front, and he's actually having a little bit of fun, because now he's getting away from P2. Convoy no longer there to hold on to his rear wing. Convoy's down in P7 on that set of hards. Now the way this could work out very well for Convoy is if he's able to make up these positions, or at least make up a handful of positions in a short period of time, get himself up to P4, P3, P4, somewhere there. And Weeze does make that pit stop. Means he could then jump the Aston Martin driver. So whenever there's an early safety car, almost any safety car, you're going to have a situation where a lot of cars come into the pits. A lot of cars choose not to, and then it just throws everything up into the air. Of course, in the beginning you can look at what tyre the different drivers are starting on, and you can guess what they're going to at least be attempting in the race. But once you get that early safety car, cars come in, different lap times, everything's out of sequence. Difficult to spot what everyone is doing, and where Weeze and Convoy were matching each other in pace and strategy, they're now on two very different strategies and two very different tyres. Frustrating thing here for Convoy is that he just can't clear the two Williams. Of course, the longer he stays back there, more opportunity Weeze has to open up the gap at the front. I think Convoy's sitting in a pretty good spot right now. He might be in P7, but the leader's not that far down the road, probably 4 or 5 seconds down the road. He's going to need a whole lot more than that to go into the pits and come out in the lead. So Weeze might be questioning his decisions under that safety car. Maybe he should have come into the pits, maybe not. We don't know the answer just yet. All will be revealed after the first sequence of pit stops. Of course, we have had a few pit stops. That was under safety car. First sequence of regular pit stops. Once again, thank you to everybody watching. Thanks for joining the stream. Remember to leave a like on the video, guys. Really helps out the channel, helps out the video, gets it out there to more people. Weeze out front, he hasn't really been able to grow that gap any further. We saw the gap getting up to 1.6 seconds, looked a little bit alarming, like Weeze might start to clear the field at the front. That hasn't been the case, because Pantry Star has kept him honest. The gap now just over 1 second. If he's able to just creep over that 1 second line, he's going to be within DRS, and then challenging the driver in front is going to become a much bigger possibility. 3-second penalties now starting to populate the timesheets. We have one for Jokers here. We have another one for the other Red Bull. That is Top Gun down in P11. As for his teammate, Pantry Star, doing everything he can to hold on to the leader. Gap 1.1 seconds, just so frustrating. Just flirting with that 1 second mark. You know, once you get inside it, it just needs to be 999. You don't even have to be far. Get that DRS, things become so much easier. You're going to have 2 long straights down this track where you can open up your rear wing. Works like a vacuum. Just get pulled towards your opponent. It's such an advantage, but when you're on the wrong side of that, and he's barely on the wrong side of that, it can just be so frustrating. And now, for the first time in a while, he has popped into DRS. 9.5 tenths is the gap. If he's able to keep it there for a little longer, then all of a sudden the Red Bull has come into DRS. He has had to close up a lot of time on Wheeze. Remember, that gap was 1.6 seconds. Whether Pantry Star did all of that on his own, or if Wheeze made some sort of mistake. If there was a mistake, we missed it. Was able to hold on to the lead. Held that lead at just over a second for a lap or two. Now Pantry Star has eventually broken that 1 second mark, and now you're going to see the difference it makes. Opens up DRS. He's not going to try anything crazy this time around, will he? Might. He thought about it. He showed the front wing. He backed off. For a moment I thought, this is either going to be spectacular. Actually, now that I think of it, in either case it would be spectacular. In one case it would be spectacular, in the other case it would be spectacularly bad. Imagine the 2 leaders taking each other out at the front of the race. Of course, these are the 2 leaders for now. Wheeze and Pantry Star looking very, very competitive, but you got to remember, down the road, Convoy in P4, he's not that far down the road. He's less than 5 seconds down the road from the leader. He has cleared those 2 Williams. He's up into P4, and he has made a pit stop. So when those medium runners ahead of him do eventually pit, your new leader will be Convoy. Obviously those drivers will come back about 20 seconds behind Convoy. Rather, there's a 5 second deficit, so maybe 15 or 16 seconds behind Convoy. But then, is it a 2-stop for Convoy? Is he going to have to pit again? Surely. Or is he going to try and take these hards to 30 laps? Just doesn't sound realistic. If you are able to take these hards all the way, surely they're not going to be in the best condition right towards the end. Still a lot of racing to come. Nothing is yet decided. Still all hangs in the balance. And we can really thank that safety car for mixing things up. Of course, Boinky's mentioned in the comment section a little earlier on, we shouldn't expect any rain. Briefly ride with the Ferrari up spikes and walk towards the skies. There are a few clouds about. It looks too menacing, lots of blue skies still around. But if rain were to come, it's a very difficult race circuit in the rain. Lots of twisty bits. A little further down, Martin in the Haas, currently in P8, holding on to his points paying position. Convoy's just set the fastest lap of the race. I think that is those hards just coming into their own now. He's done a few laps on the hards. Obviously the mediums, the guys that started on the mediums, they've done 14 laps now on the mediums. Those mediums might be starting to fall off their peak. Not necessarily fall off the cliff, but they have gone past their peak, and what that means is Convoy's getting closer and closer to the 2 cars that still need to pit. So where Wheeze and Convoy were once very close together on the same strategy, they're now very close together, but a pit stop apart. This is the view from Convoy. Right on board with him, you can see P2 just ahead of you, and you can see the leader just there in the distance. It's wondering if that was the right call to come in so early. Such an early safety car, just lap 5, but I think he might have just got this call just right. Obviously, Weeze has dominated the championship. Saw that championship table a little bit earlier on in the broadcast. And if you're not able to beat him with all out pace, might have to use a little bit of strategy. That's what Convoy's done tonight. He's taken a roll of the dice. He's done something different. Briefly thought about going for the lead. He got the first car. Almost went for the second car. Pantry Star went as late as he could on the brakes. Car got out of shape. Was able to hold on to it, but that's going to hurt him a little bit because he's fallen adrift from Weeze. And now does Weeze even try to defend? Goes to the inside, but there's not much he can do. That McLaren's going to have the superior grip. He's just able to coast past him around on the outside. No pressure there. And now Weeze in P2 with tyres that are going to be getting slower and slower. He needs to come into the pits and he's going to wave Convoy on his way. It's going to be quite a frustrating feeling. Not so long ago, Convoy was just behind him. Now Convoy is just ahead of him. He's about to disappear into the distance. Weeze says not so soon. Goes back into the lead. And then what a slide. Getting the car sideways, doing a bit of drifting. He wants to lead the race for a little bit longer, even though he knew he was coming into the pits. Just decided he's going to give the McLaren a little bit more of a hard time. Some good fun between the drivers. Weeze definitely not letting up. Knows he's fighting Convoy. And if he could handicap him in any way through that stadium section, even if you're slowing down your opponent for a second or two in this race, might help you at the end. Might have been a case of if you had just let that McLaren go off into the distance and he goes on to lose the race by 2 seconds later on this evening. Well, he's going to remember that moment very well. Convoy leads. Spikes is now in P2. Those drivers have since come into the pits. So it's Convoy, Spikes, Smurf, Virus, Boinkies. Very different looking field now. Boinkies the only driver. I stand corrected. Boinkies and Joe Kutsia the only 2 drivers. Still on that original set of medium tyres. Everybody else has come into the pits. Gotten rid of the tyres they started the race on. Boinky 16 laps. Top Gun 16 laps of his own, but that's on a hard compound. How much longer for Boinkies? Is he going to come into the pits? There we go, confirmation. The Salva peels off to the right. And he will eventually make his pit stop. I'll just stretch those tyres a little bit extra so that on this second set of tyres he might just have an advantage in the closing laps. Just that little bit of extra rubber when everybody else is crawling to the end on tyres that don't look great. If you've got that extra 2 or 3 lap advantage, things could really go to your advantage. We're just going to bring out the penalty screen. See if any of these penalties are very serious. Doesn't look too bad. We've got 3-second penalties for Virus, Mr. Rem, Top Gun and Disguised. So that is just a solitary penalty. Of course, if you get another and another, things start to look ugly very quickly because it goes up in 3s, 3, 6, 9 and 12. You can just imagine what comes next. The race is basically in the bin at that point. We do have another driver in the penalties column, but he's at the rear of the field. That's Joe Kutsia. He's got 6 seconds. So the driver with the most penalties in the field. The McLaren at the rear. One McLaren at the rear. But that's not the one we're watching. We're watching the leader. Of course, this race in the beginning looked like he was going to have to pull something off very special if he was going to get past Weeze. It's getting awfully close, but the opportunity never looked like a realistic one. Came into the pits under safety car, surprised the commentator. I didn't expect to see it. In fact, we saw quite a few cars coming into the pits. But the quickest driver that chose to come into the pits was Conboy. He was in P2 when he did it. And he was able to get back out there. The leaders weren't able to get far enough away up the road. And when they did eventually need to make their pit stop, they had to hand the lead to the one that rolled the dice. Conboy leads from Spikes. The gap is 2.9 seconds. Keep your eyes on that gap for the lead. Just popped up into the threes. Important to see, can Spikes match the pace of Conboy? Is he able to close the gap at all? Those two drivers on the same strategy, 14 lap old hards. Both of those drivers put under the safety car. What happens usually is you get one driver up the field, he rolls the dice, and then all of a sudden it inspires a whole lot more drivers. Spikes was the, rather not Spikes, Conboy was the first to pit, but 5 or 6 other cars did follow his example. A very split up field at the moment. The two Williams, they were running so close together for a long time in this race. Now they're very far apart. Andre P10, Skull 14. Chums, is he in control of that car? He appears to be in control of that car. Earlier on, he was definitely not. This is Joe Kutsia, also appears to be in control of the McLaren. Those two lingering at the back of the field. They'll be hoping for a safety car that can bring them back into this. Bring them right to the back of the queue. Give them an equal chance at that restart. So far we've just had the one safety car, and it was very early days. It was on lap 5. Fastest lap now goes the way of Wheeze. Of course, he's got some fresh tyres on that car, and he's going to be enjoying them. 4 laps on the hard, so they'll be starting to come up to optimal temperature now. Of course, the harder the compound, the little bit longer it takes to get tyre temperature. Once those come alive, he's going to start having some fun, because all of the cars ahead of him also on the hard compound, but a much older hard compound. It looks like Conboy's got this sorted. Don't think about that just yet. We've got Wheeze making up a position, goes up into P5, gets past Mr. M. He's got that superior grip. There's just not too much his opponents can do about him. Now he's going to approach Smurf. He's got a 16 lap tyre advantage on him, and that's a spin. Contact between the Aston Martin and the RB. Who's at fault? I don't know. We only got one camera angle of it, and it's gone. Sometimes I'm grateful we don't have replays. But there was definitely contact there between the Aston Martin and the RB. And of course the RB came off second best. As for Wheeze, he's lucky he didn't lose too much momentum. Still in P4, less than a second behind Virus. That'll be his next target. Mercedes up the road. Then the top two, they're a bit of a distance up the road, a further 12 seconds. It's going to come back in this race, it's going to take a lot of work. If Conboy does indeed need to make that second pit stop, well then this race might swing back in the direction of the Aston Martin driver. Still so many questions, so much to be decided. Really, what comes next cannot be predicted. We saw in the early days of the race, we got that safety car, came out of nowhere, lap 5, could happen at any time. Of course it hurts even more when it comes late in the race, especially for the drivers that have penalties. You look up in the sky, what do you see? Do you see any blue sky? Right now I don't. See anyone stressing too much in the comment section about rain. It is getting a little cloudy. Luckily it's lap 23 of 36. Rain did come in this race. It would probably come very late in this race. We haven't seen any example or any sign of rain. This thing's starting to look a little gloomy, especially from that camera angle. So many questions. Who's going to take the victory? Convoy and Wheeze matched each other for pace in qualifying. 5/100ths of a second split them on the front row. Then they matched each other until lap 5 when a safety car came out. Parted the two opponents, put them on two different strategies. One decided to stay out on the medium, the other one decided to come in early, get the hard. And now it has changed the race completely. Convoy is the man in the lead. Wheeze, the man he was once racing, is in P3. He's about 12 seconds adrift from the leader, but on a much better set of tires. Just as we go deeper and deeper into this race, it's going to get more and more difficult for Convoy. Those hards already 18 laps old, among the hardest, or the oldest rather, hard tires on the circuit, disguised. And is that Mr. Rem, also 18 laps on the hard tire. Convoy doing a good job for now because he's been able to shake off Spikes. Spikes was a lot closer than that. He was 3 or 4 seconds down the road. He's now 10 seconds down the road, so he either made a mistake or Convoy's doing an amazing job on those tires. But Spikes isn't going to be in P2 for much longer because that Aston Martin with the superior grip just goes up the inside like it's absolutely nothing, no effort in it. There wasn't much the Ferrari could do, so I don't know how much defense he really put into that. They've just accepted his 3rd place. But that means now Wheeze has got clean air. Hasn't had clean air ever since his pit stop, obviously had to come through the field. Now he's got some clean air to himself and he can just put in some laps with this fresh rubber. Enjoy it while it lasts before it begins to fall off. Just throw everything at these next few laps. Keep your eyes on the gap out front because this should be two extremes. The hards should be at their premium. Convoy, those hards should be starting to get a little dodgy. In a normal case scenario, you look at a gap of 12 seconds with just 11 laps to go, and so surely not, that can't happen. I told you tonight, it's a real possibility. Remember the one not enjoying his tires. Oh no, is that a car ghosting? Is that a car ghosting? Convoy, the McLaren. We saw the gap coming down. Couldn't have all been tires. We went to go have a look at that McLaren, and the McLaren is ghosting down the circuit. And what promised to be such an exciting end to this race has just fallen apart. We hope Convoy can somehow retake control of that car, but every second he spends outside the lobby, Wheeze gets closer and closer and closer. That gap was 12 seconds. He's closed that gap down to 6 seconds over the space of a lap. Absolutely nothing Convoy can do here. Needs to get back in the lobby as soon as he can. Wheeze, the man in P2. Spikes, the man in P3. Everybody may have just gained a position the longer Convoy stays out of the session. And of course, another risk. The first problem is that AI, it's very slow. So if you fall out of the lobby even for a few laps, your race is going to be very badly affected. The other problem drivers don't think of as often is that sometimes that AI does some really dumb stuff. I've seen examples where drivers get back into the lobby and their car has made an unnecessary pit stop. We've even seen a few rare examples where the AI simply pulls off the circuit and calls it a day, and you're not able to rejoin because your car is retired. You get sent straight to spectator mode. So you don't want to put too much trust in that AI. Unfortunately for Convoy, he has not been able to regain control of his car. And that's why from Wheeze, you can already see that McLaren, there was a 12-second gap. It is no more. There is no gap. The gap has changed. Wheeze into the lead of the race. He's going to have absolutely no problem to pull away now from this McLaren. Spikes is going to start closing in on that P2. Levy also looking at a podium. Still a long way to go in this race. Pantry Star. Is currently in P6. He's a bit higher up the field. Showed his pace a little earlier on. That's how close this field is. You see a quick driver, you see him down in P8. You think, what's going on? You just realize he hasn't done anything wrong. Just everyone else in here is really quick as well. Of course, when the pace is this close, when the pace is this fast, any sort of mistake can make your race look like a complete disaster, in contrast to those cars around you. Sometimes you join a stream on NFR, you see a familiar name, a very quick name, and you see him at the rear of the field. Got a second retirement, and it's very late on in the race. We had a safety car very early on in the race, lap 5, and now we're getting a safety car relatively late in the race. Not too late in the race. Drivers are going to have a 5 to 6 lap sprint to the end. And this has thrown the cat amongst the pigeons, and now Spikes, so he'll be frustrated with that. Spikes picks up a penalty. I'm not quite sure what he did there. Was that crossing over the speed? We didn't see what that was, but he picked up a penalty. Spikes will be oh so annoyed with himself, looking at a podium. And not only is that a penalty, that is a drive-through. That is going to hurt Spikes so much. I hope he's not trying to serve that drive-through under the safety car, because it's not going to work. They're going to pull him into the garage. They're going to change his tires as they regularly do. It's going to pull off. Now he's going to have to follow that safety car around, and when that safety car comes in, he then has 3 laps to serve that drive-through. Most painful thing about that, of course, serving the drive-through after the safety car means that that field is tightly packed together, and you will most likely come out at the back of it, or very close to the back of it. So for Spikes, just like that, it went from a podium position to possibly an outside of the points finishing position. A few of the drivers have gone into the pits and chosen these soft tires, so we're going to have some guys around here that are going to be blisteringly quick. Convoy, well, that ghost car, this is actually going to frustrate the field a little bit. The awkward situation we've got here is a bunch of cars came into the pits, changed their tires. Now we've got the ghost car of Convoy behind the safety car. Really, the game is a little bit unpredictable. Sometimes it's going to let you lap that ghost car, sometimes it's not going to let you get past. So you're going to have to sit behind the ghost car. I think what's wrong with sitting behind the ghost car if everybody's going at the same pace? I'll tell you what's wrong with going at the ghost car. The ghost car has a terrible restart, and you have to sit behind him till the start finish line. So that means that it might be advantage Wheeze here at the restart. He doesn't have a set of soft tires. I'm sure he'd love to have a set of soft tires, but does have a new set of mediums on the car. lot of drivers behind him with a brand new set of softs. He's going to have drivers behind him, brand new softs, not thinking about any sort of tyre management, just throwing everything at it. Might find a situation where Weeze might have to fight a car or two he wasn't expecting to fight. Of course, for Convoy, complete and utter disappointment. Such a quick driver, showed his pace in qualifying, came within 0.05 of a second from Weeze. Matched Weeze in the opening stages, threw the dice under the first safety car. Led the race at a 12-second lead. It's going to be tough. It was definitely within the realms of possibility. Not just a podium, but a race victory. Now all of a sudden, he's in P2, and that car does not look too healthy. Still ghosting around. Convoy has not been able to retake control of the car. Again, I must mention, for these soft runners, this is not a good scenario. And if you are listening and you're a soft runner, just remember you can't make an overtake till that start finish line. So whatever you do, do not pass that ghost car. Last thing you need. A couple of drivers with drive-throughs at the end here. Of course, we know Spikes has a drive-through. That's the car we're currently driving with. Nothing he can do about that drive-through right now because we're under safety car conditions. So he has pit for a brand new set of softs. But then he's only going to have 3 laps in which he needs to serve that drive-through. If he does not serve the drive-through, well, he's not even going to get to see the checkered flag. Once you complete that 3rd lap, you'll abruptly get disqualified from the event. I'm not sure if he thought he could serve that drive-through, but he did go in, get a brand new set of softs, but it's going to be the most useless set of softs he's ever had. You see, the one car has been able to clear Convoy. That was Weeze. He did that earlier on. He was able to clear the ghost car, get himself a clear lead. He'll be much happier than that. Of course, if the ghost car were leading, you'd have to wait for the ghost car to restart the race. Still waiting for confirmation of the safety car coming in. Nothing just yet. Of course, if it comes in at the end of this lap, means we'll have a 4-lap sprint to the end. Very close stuff. Different compounds. Very fresh compounds. And some very hungry drivers. A frustrated Ferrari amongst them. Man in P3. When will he choose to do that drive-through? Of course, we've seen drivers who simply follow the safety car into the pits. I don't think Spice is going to do that. He's going to have a lap or 2 on those softs, have a bit of fun at the end. Sometimes we'll see a driver just choose not to do that drive-through and drive himself into a DSQ rather than drive himself into a situation where he doesn't finish in the points. The front it's Weeze, then Spikes, then stall the car of Convoy. Told you that ghost car can just get in the way because look at the lead. 1.8 seconds, very early stages, and Weeze has already pulled out a very large lead. Of course, it's outside of DRS. Spikes would have loved to have kept it within DRS, but remember, Spikes is not effectively on the podium. He has a drive-through next to his name. That's not just any penalty. He's only got a few laps to serve that drive-through, otherwise he does get disqualified from the race. So either he comes in, serves the drive-through and hopes to hold on to the points, or he's going to get a DSQ. It's followed closely by Levy in one of the, rather the only Alpine, oh there is another Alpine, it's disguised, in P13, so the leading Alpine. Looking at a P3 and looking at a very likely P2. Spike's going to have to come into the pits eventually. Or not. And there we go, Spikes Goes into the pits to serve his time. Will be so frustrated with that. Had a good result on the cards. He was going to start from P2 on a fresh set of softs. Chase the leader for the final 4 laps. Unfortunately for him, gets a very unfortunate drive-through, and from what I've learned in the past, sometimes those drive-throughs can be pretty undeserved. The game is about as accurate as the FIA, should I say consistent as the FIA. Game can sometimes let you get away with a bit and then penalise you for nothing. So when you do finish a race, more impressively when you do win a race, all the events that can happen during the course of a race, beating all those events to get to the front. Of course, there can be collisions in the early stages when things are crowded. There can simply be a driver error. But you're able to hold your concentration, you're able to hold things together to the end. We have had 2 safety cars. It does sort of break up that race distance a little bit. Makes things a little bit more exciting, especially for the cars at the rear of the field. Cars at the rear of the field see their race completely disappearing. Sometimes you're driving outside the points and you think, why don't I just put this in the pits and retire? Suddenly a safety car comes out. Your eyes widen. Everything lights up. You've got an opportunity yet again. It's about taking a gamble and, of course, making the right gamble. He's taken the right gamble. He leads the way, 5.3 seconds. There's absolutely nothing Levy's going to be able to do about it. He's in P2. Does have a softer set of tyres, but those tyres are already 5 laps old, so the medium will start to become the better tyre at this stage. He wasn't able to utilise those softs when he needed them. Right in the beginning, right at the restart. That's when he should have been chasing Weeze for all he's worth, but instead he's battling to get past Spikes, rather, who would eventually come into the pits anyway. Levy, Pantry Star takes P2 away from the Alpine, says I'll take that. Now we've got 2 medium runners out front, separated by 5.7 seconds, Weeze and Pantry Star, so it seems like the medium might have been the right choice right at the end here. Whole handful of soft runners, Levy, Virus, Andre, Mr. Rem, positions 3, 4, 5 and 6. Next medium runner is Boinkies. Of course, if that is indeed the case, that the medium tyre is the better one to be on, the race should be coming to him right now. Don't think he enjoys my commentary too much, because as we brought him up, he just lost the back end. Luckily for him, he was able to hold everything together, hold his momentum, didn't lose too much ground, because he stalled all over the back of that Ferrari just up the road from him. He's going to get DRS, he's going to open it up, try and get as much slipstream as you can, and even use some battery into the stadium section. This is where you want to stay as close as you can. You're not going to necessarily try and make any overtakes in the stadium section, but it's not going to have enough time. Surely not. It's got another 2 DRS zones between now and the end of the race, or 3, but one of them is really short, so it doesn't count. Gets awfully close. It's not going to be close enough, but it'll take quite the lunge. And it's not going to happen this time around. Boinky stays behind, but he's ever so close for that next jab at DRS. Is he close enough? The gap is 3.5 tenths. How close will he get? Has he left some battery in the bank? I don't know if he's left some battery in the bank, but that might be what's going to cost him a possible P6. Andre, also good job, P5. After all is said and done, after the 2 safety cars out of sequence pit stops, he'll be happy with that. He's able to bring the car home in the top 5. Back with the leader in the very closing stages. He's making his final visit to the stadium section before he makes his visit to the top step of the podium. Around the final corner, over the line, Reese takes the victory. We now wait for Pantry Star to appear. There he is, Pantry Star over the line in P2. He's going to be followed by Virus. Remember, there's going to be a few penalties at play here. Virus loses the podium as a result. Lebby takes the podium. Your top three, Wheeze, Pantry Star, and Lebby. Everyone has now come over the line. We just wait for Joe Kutsia finishing off one or two corners. Just wants to get home. Still in the stadium section, in fact. He did fall a little bit adrift. And over the line, the final driver in the field. Fantastic race here at Mexico, and I hope that it's just whet your appetite a little bit more for what's coming later on. Of course, the real deal at 10 o'clock. Top Gun takes your driver of the day. Of course, it's almost 7:30. So in 2.5 hours, we will have the real thing. And there are your official results. Let's get through them quickly. We qualified in P1, finished the race in P1, but it wasn't that easy. There was a lot of driving that had to be done in between. At one stage, found himself in P6 after the pit stops. Then Pantry Star for Red Bull. Good job for him. Didn't look like he was going to be on the podium at a stage. That's a strong podium position. P2. Then Levy P3, also on the podium as a way of a late penalty for Virus. Virus demoted to P4. Then Andre, good top 5 position for him. Finishes P5. Boinky's happy with P6. Looks happy in the comment section. Then we've got Mr. M P7, Martin P8, Smurf P9, and making up the points. After that drive-through, Spikes was able to hold on to the one solitary point. Outside the points, we've got the likes of Top Gun in the second, Red Bull, then Disguised Bear for Alpine, Convoy, how he really lost out, Kick of Chums in 14, Joe Kutsia, Skull, and Divan were your two DNFs. Tough night for McLaren. Is that a drop of rain I just saw popping up on the side of the screen? I think we might have just missed some even more interesting conditions. Of course, we will just wait a minute or two to see if anybody does join the comms box. Guys haven't been joining lately, so don't expect too much. Of course, a reminder that the real thing is coming in 2.5 hours time, so I hope you're excited for the Mexican Grand Prix. Of course, over here on NFR, we return to the Mexican layout tomorrow night for SAFRL. So anyone from SAFRL who crosses over into SKR, well, you just got a good night worth of practice. Just going to have a brief look at the Discord. Hopefully if the Discord opens, yes it does. Doesn't look like anyone's going to join us. But I hope everyone did enjoy. I had quite a few viewers on here. I'm going to leave the stream open for 2 or 3 minutes just to see if anybody does decide to join. I'll be back to say goodbye. But until then, if you're not here when I get back, cheers.
On NFR, racing's the supreme. Checker flags waving, champions arise. rush for the speed. Formula One dreams, we take the lead. On NFR swing, every second counts. NFR, the thrill always mounts. NFR, feel the rush, feel the speed. Formula One dreams, we take the lead. On NFR, we're flying high. Under the lights, we touch the sky. You to NFR.
There we go. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for waiting. Doesn't look like anybody's going to be joining in the comms box. So I'm going to thank you all one more time for joining the stream, for watching the stream, and for staying with us throughout. Of course, if you enjoyed this, you need to return tomorrow night because we're going to do it all over again with a different set of drivers. Some of them will be the same, some of them will not. And then, of course, on Tuesday night, we return for League v League. Remember, Monday night, Tuesday night, those are at 8 PM. So don't miss out. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, remember to do so you can see all of our uploads. And if you haven't left a like on the video, please do. Till next time, thank you everyone, and cheers.
On the bends, rivals clash, no amends. Oh no, cheering crowd, feel the sound. SKR, world renowned. Dayton's night, under lights. Oh yeah, every turn, every fight. Pulses racing, here we go. SKR, steal the show. Rev it up, race it fast. Living dreams as we blast. On this night, we won't rest.